Hello, I'm Cecilia Louie of Paper Zen. Are you celebrating a friend's birthday? Or commemorating a special anniversary? Or maybe you're helping a bride and groom make their wedding day unforgettable. All these memorable moments in life are marked in numbers. If you'd like to start quilling numbers, add punctuation marks, or quill an ampersand, then I've made this book just for you. Just like my previous book, Quilling Letters, you don't have to use a ruler to measure anything. Just lay your strip on top of my template, score, and then snip where indicated. Each segment has a corresponding number matching the template so you can follow along easily. As for filling in the numbers, if you visit my YouTube channel, you'll see numerous examples and techniques for creating shapes. Let's talk about how I made this birthday card. I bought a sheet of 12-inch by 12-inch scrapbook cardstock. I cut it in half, and then I folded that in half to get a 6 by 6 inch square. So there's nothing going to waste, and you've got a possibility for 2 cards. I really like how these numbers fit on a size like this. I think it goes quite well in terms of the ratio and gives you some space along the bottom to type a message. In my book, all you have to do is just start typing, and this font size will come up just as you see it here. In my book, you'll see 2 pages that are quite similar, and you might be wondering, what's the difference between them? So this one says it's printable, and this one says it's for tracing. So you print this onto the cardstock that you're going to quill onto, card or paper, whatever you prefer. So this is the anniversary one, so we'll set that part aside for now. And I've already gone ahead and cut out the square that goes on top of my cardstock, my greeting cardstock. So whatever you want to quill on, it could be white, it could be cream, what have you. Then this is for tracing. So you're going to find a sunny window and use some removable tape and tape this card against the square that you see on this side. And then you're going to choose a number from my book. So in this case, I'm choosing the number 1. And for those of you who would like to try quilling a number before buying the entire book, you can download this template from my blog for free and just give it a try. So after you print out the number that you want, or numbers, you just put 2 side by side after you cut it out. So we're just going to trim the excess number away from this piece of paper. And you're going to tape that onto the for tracing template. And put some tape down on top of that. Let's just recap. I taped the printed piece of cardstock onto my tracing template, and I've secured my number aligning to the baseline and the center line using removable tape, and then I've taken a dry pen to score along this number. So now I'm going to remove the card from the tracing sheet. And it's probably hard for you to see, but I can just make out the indentation of the number 1 here. This way, if your quilling is just a little bit off, no one can really tell, and it's just very subtle that way. So let's get started on the quilling part. I have the number 1 here, and as you can see, this all happened to fit onto a strip that was cut from an 11-inch sheet of paper. And the paper I prefer to use is Canson Mi-Tientes. It's a lot thicker and substantial than conventional quilling paper. And I laid my strip on here. This is a 1/4 inch. And basically I just took my quilling needle and scored along every line here. And here you can see an icon for a pair of scissors. That means to snip, and that's 1 whole strip. If you happen to see a return arrow, it just means to continue measuring your strip, if you're using a longer strip that is, to continue that strip all along here. You can also, choose to do it in several strips if you prefer to have a bit more corners and joins. It's completely up to you. So I've already gone ahead and scored along all these markings here, and I'm going to start folding where I see the number indicated here. So number 1 is here, and number 2 I'm going to flip this way. And when I do, just keep in mind, use your fingers to keep these two edges aligned. We don't want to have them misaligned, because then it's going to make your job when you go to glue to your surface quite a lot harder. So the next strip will come this way. As you can see, the number 1 is taking shape and we'll be ready to glue to our card. The glue I prefer to use most is Aleene's original Tacky glue, because I find it really thick and it dries clear, so I just find it grabs hold of whatever I'm gluing quite quickly. I will tend to pour a stream like that and then smear it so it's nice and flat, so my glue doesn't end up building up on the edges of my quilling strip. Now in this case, I'm only going to put the glue on these first 2 edges. This way I'm not overburdened by having to worry about so many glue surfaces all at once. It's a lot easier to control your gluing this way. And because I smeared my glue on a thin card like this, it makes it easy to slip it underneath. And actually I should have smeared it towards the edge. This way what I can do is lift this number up and dip into exactly where I need. So the next 2 strips is where I'm going to apply. So I'm going to gently tug towards my right so that I get a straight line, because paper, even though I didn't curve this paper at all, it can still kind of warp just ever so slightly. So giving it a gentle tug will just kind of gently straighten it out. Now I'm going to use a card that's actually quite a lot stiffer, and it's going to help me align this corner to this corner and make sure that they meet up. So I'm pushing this edge up against this edge, and that way this strip won't go too far or not far enough. And after you've filled the number up, you're ready to glue to your cardstock. For the happy anniversary card, I used quite a few different papers. The polka dot pattern here came from DCWV DIY Project Stacked Wedding, and it's got a pearlescent finish with different kinds of patterns. I love all these patterns. It's even got a slight debossing, and I was kind of worried, will it handle the quilling with this pearlescent finish on here and debossing? And it was just fine. My quilling adhered to it quite well. The metallic here that I used for the letters, it actually came from Royal Metallics by Wausau paper, and it's 65 pounds, so you know it's easy to put that through your printer if you need, and I cut them into my own strips to use for quilling. And then finally, the sturdy card that I adhered it all to, this glitter, it actually came from Recollections called glitter paper, and I just got that from Michael's, and it was rather stiff, so it was just perfect to bring all this glitter together. So again, this template is already ready for you, and you'll find the two sheets just as I showed before. So this is the printable version. So you would print this message after you type it. You would print this message onto whatever paper that you want. And then there's a corresponding tracing one. So same idea, it's just that it's, you know, repositioned for the anniversary ribbon to go underneath. And basically after you print out this message, you would just score along these diagonal lines first, and then you would cut out the ribbon, and then you would just apply some glue here and secure it like that. After you've glued your ribbon together down like this, you're ready to glue it to your card. What you can do is trim the for tracing sheet out just halfway down the middle, and just, you know, a corner of this ribbon part, and line that up to your card. And then you would basically put a dab of glue here on this corner and use this as a template to line everything up. And then you secure this half down, take away your template, and then you can secure this part down. So this way it takes all the guesswork out, and you'll have a centered banner and completely straight. Simple, right? It's really quite simple to make these hearts. I just arbitrarily took any length. I didn't measure any of this. I just know that my heart would be about half that distance. And actually, I don't know if I would use this paper again next time. I found it kind of buckled. I had to actually round it like this in order to get it to fold in half. And by buckling, I just mean that the two sheets would kind of separate, and it just doesn't flow very well. So to create those curves, I just used a crochet hook. I found using the smaller circumference utensils, it just made all the paper buckle. So after I rounded those two parts, I would then glue the two ends together like that. And that's how I shaped these hearts. Most wedding couples try to do as much as they can to keep the budget costs low, but they also want a memorable event. With all the last minute guest changes, you don't want to be freaking out redoing something as time sensitive as quilling. You can start the quilling way ahead of time. So here what I've got is a cover weight of Stardream cover. So Stardream is a paper that has a nice metallic sheen. And I would use cover so that your quilling is nice and flat and stable. Then I would buy a matching sheet in text weight. Text weight is what they call like really good quality paper. You'd find this to be a little thicker than what you'd find in the photocopier. But you can see it's quite malleable still, so you can put that through your printer. So what I did was I put the menu on one half and I put guest list on the other, and I folded that in half. So as you can see, these are all the same size. Then what I did was I put double-sided tape on the back and along all these seams. So what you would do is you would keep all these elements flat just before the wedding, and so it's easier to store and transport and ship and stuff like that. And obviously you've got lots of little helpers that get things done right before the reception, what have you. So I would take the middle strip of wax away first, and I would secure that. Then I would remove just a portion of this and flatten that wax part down. Taking your quilling sheet, I would line up all these edges. And you see, because we're leaving this wax here, you can still shift and move, and it's not going to grab hold of it and you're freaking out trying to rip these pages apart. That's like the worst thing you can possibly do to your paper, right? So after I've got my corners nicely matched out, I'm going to hold down with this hand as I press down on this hand, securing that corner that we did expose. Now when I remove the rest of the tape, I know it's going to align and you're not fighting your paper. So same goes on the other side. So now what you've got is something that stands up by itself. Isn't that great? You've got all three sides taken care of, and it looks cohesive. You can do this in the wedding bride's dream color for her wedding, and it's going to look so unique, and you can still manage last minute changes on the guest list or on the menu, and you don't have to worry so much about the quilling. I hope you like this idea. I wish I thought of it as a budget saving cost for my wedding back in the day. Whatever your special occasion is, I hope you enjoy quilling numbers. Want to be the first to know when I put out my latest video tutorial? Subscribe to my channel. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you give it 2 thumbs up or leave a comment below. I'd love to hear from you.